Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play Cast, episode 112, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'll be your host today, magicman. We'll get to that in a minute, because there's some stories and stuff. If you haven't been on the site, go and check them out. I posted something, Spunkify posted something, Jason Winter posts lots of things that you need to go and read. We're going to get to all of that in this show, including the updates to the site. But before we get started, let's, of course, send it over to introduce my co-host for today, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, and I thought this was Derpy Dragon. Am I in the wrong place?
That's a throwback. Yeah.
Am I in the wrong free-to-play show?
I think you're in the wrong free-to-play show. Yeah, if you're not following Jason or myself on multiple places, that's a reference there's no way in hell you're going to get. But this is exciting. I mean, this is the first time on Free-to-Play Cast besides the 1 year episode that we did way back when. Well, I did. You weren't.
Yeah, I was there too.
Were you there on the 1 year?
Yeah, I was.
You were on the 2
not
year.
1 year. Not
yeah,
1
you were on the 2 year.
I was at the 100. I was at the 100. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first one besides the 1 year one that we actually are doing video with. So that's nice. You'll notice.
We're talking about just us in general.
I know. We brushed our hair today. We're looking good. Well, as
that,
good as
this is I think the first show you and I have done solo in anything.
Yeah, that's right. Like, even everything else, either Gary was there or we had a third host. And you'll notice on the screen right now, gang, there are 2 extra spaces here, free-to-play cast logos, filling them for this episode, but we are going to be bringing back some other hosts, some of whom you may know. I don't know if you've been a long-time MMO bomber, some of them new, and of course, as always, we always put the invitation out there to viewers that would love to be a part of a show. We'd love to have you. If you have a camera, a microphone, and can form coherent thoughts in English, then you qualify. So
or in Klingon. We'll accept Klingon as well.
We'll accept Klingon. Jason will go ahead and interpret.
I'll translate. Yeah.
So what the hell am I doing here? Well, Spunkify is stepping down as the editor-in-chief. Now, he's not leaving MMOBomb, right? He's still part of the team, still going to do first looks, things like that occasionally. But he is also taking on roles in a different capacity for a different company. It's not media. I can at least tell you that much. It's not like he's going to another site or anything like that. When he's ready to announce exactly what he's doing and where, we'll let Spunkify make that announcement to the MMOBomb community. So I have been asked to return as editor-in-chief and accepted because Mr. Winter's here, and that's all I needed.
That's all you really need, yeah.
That's all you need is Mr. Jason Winter. So if you've been following the site, great. Some people hung out for Bomb Live, recording on Mondays at 5 Eastern. We did that yesterday, played some SWTOR with the expansion coming up. Probably be doing Neverwinter or something like that next week. All kinds of good stuff. Hang out with us on the stream. Check out the shows. And if you like the new video format, please let us know below in your comments. And be nice. I know I'm rocking like this little porn stash thing.
And I can't see your camera, so I'm going to have to...
Right, you're going to have to watch the playback. I'm in a show at a theater in my city, so I have to grow it in. You got 5 weeks to make fun of the porn stash, and then it'll be gone. So what do you say we just move over and get started with the news?
Probably good. I'm going to give an early debomb to your porn stash, though.
All right, so first off, if you've been following Trion Worlds, ArcheAge maybe having a little bit of a rough time here to start things off. Just a smidge of a rough time. So we've got a bunch of articles over at MMOBomb.com. Take a look at them. Jason, before we get into some of the woes, I don't want to make this like all negative, right? It's easy to look at this and just pick it apart. But have you gotten into ArcheAge, dug into it a little bit? What are you liking about the game?
Honestly, I've been avoiding it until they clear up with their issues between the DDoSes and the server queues and the land grabs and all the stuff. I played in the alpha. Alpha? Yeah, alpha.
That seems like it was 5 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I wrote a bit about this on the site too. I got to like level 15, and you know, early on it is pretty generic. Seems very regular MMO-ish. Like, I know there's that other stuff out there, and I know that people talk about how wonderful it is if you're into really kind of an old school kind of combat, which is turning off some people. But if you're into that sort of thing, it can be really good later on. It's just that that initial hump, not only of just the questing, but just getting into the game in general and being able to play it properly is really turning off a lot of people.
I dig the customization aspect, right? I mean, the character creator's nice, but then when you actually get into the leveling experience and playing with the abilities, and, well, leveling experience, I guess, is fairly generic. I mean, it's the questing stuff here, right? Yay, questing. But I do like the ability trees and the massive array of different items that you can take and really spec out your character the way you want. It's got some good things going for it. I don't know if the whole sandbox thing is really my cup of tea anymore. Looking back on maybe when I was a younger fella.
yeah, and that's the other thing you hear about too, is you do need to be that kind of person who devotes like 26 hours a day to it or something.
Yeah, I mean, it can be time intensive, and maybe I'm just more theme park and casual in the way I play. I don't sit down and play for 14 hours, straight anymore. Those days are gone with kids and wife and work and having to earn paychecks. Yeah,
and your porn stash.
Oh, here we go. So you mentioned it is having a few problems. We saw the DDoS attacks, which kind of keep happening to Trion. That's not exclusive to ArcheAge right now.
No, it's not even exclusive to Trion.
Well, right, yeah, it's hitting Rift. It's hitting all of their stuff. It's every other day I see we want to be clear with everybody. We're being DDoSed. We'll keep you posted. Okay. And I'm just reminded of that meme, right? That's like, then we told them we got DDoSed. So, I don't know.
Which is something I've seen a few people accuse them of, but... Definitely.
But more importantly, to the game itself, we all know the queue issues. Queue Simulator 2014 was the joke for quite some time. But lately, there have been some more meaningful and impactful items to players rather than just sitting around and waiting. So we had the one that I'm a huge fan of following right now to see where the hell this goes is the marketplace patron discount. Now, I actually wrote about this particular one on MMOBomb. If you don't know, you can be a patron in ArcheAge, which is basically a subscription option for the free-to-play game, and you get a bunch of perks, of course, just like most other free-to-play games run, SWTOR and Rift and all those fun things. One of the key items that was advertised, and you are a writing guru, right? You've done writing for a long time for multiple places and multiple styles of writing.
I've even written PR. I've written lists of features that things have.
Right! I'm reminded of your trading cards days here. Yes. Where wording is very important. So one of the items that was part of the initial patron advertising previous to launch was a 10% marketplace discount. And in parentheses, in the pre-launch advertising, it said that feature would be available after launch. That's all it said, was after launch. Which I kind of agree with the internet here, which is weird. I read that as it's not going to be available in beta. It will be available when the game actually launches. We're not going to give you the discount in beta. Because remember, in beta, they were running you could buy anything you want, and we'll just refund the stuff to you when the money when the game launches, and you can buy stuff post-launch. So I kind of read it as the discount won't be available for beta. You'll have to pay full price. But when we launch, the discount will be available, and you'll have your refund anyway.
What I think anybody would have thought. Yeah.
Right. It just said available after launch. Here we are weeks later. That discount not only isn't in the game yet, it's not even part of the patron package if you go and look on the website right now. Causing a bit of a ruckus.
It reminds me, if I remember correctly, when the War Z launched, and there was that awful interview with their creator, who said things like, map sizes will be up to 100 square kilometers. They were only 64 square kilometers, but he said, well, 64 is up to 100.
Yeah.
that strikes me that same notion. Okay, after launch. Well, is it going to be right after launch? Is it going to be 3 years after launch? You're hedging your bets by saying it's sometime after launch.
Here's where Trion Worlds kind of lost me, though, right? And they came out, and their PR speak, by the way, is freaking killing me. it's just stabbing me in the throat every time I read something. But here's where they kind of lost me. They went with the whole, the marketplace. Remember, Trion's only the publisher, not the developer of the game. That's XL Games. So they, say, hey, this is something that we've got to work on with XL Games to get it launched and get it into the marketplace so that we can use this. Okay, fine. But if you were going to advertise it as your pre-sale for patron status, don't you think that would have been worked out already? You're claiming that you're taking the money for this at this point and still not honoring what you had and passing the buck back to XL Games. That's the part that really is kind of a kick in the teeth to me as a player.
Yeah, and not even giving a time frame to when it's going to happen. If it's going to be 3 months after launch, 2 months, anything to give it to them. You've got it there, and now apparently you say they've taken it off the patron listing.
Yeah,
like it's not there. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So,
in the article I posted, I put an image from like July, mid-July, of the advertising for the patron package, and then I did a screen grab of the current patron package advertising on their website, and it's totally not even in there anymore.
Now it says too, the statement said, we can't promise exactly how this bonus for patrons will be implemented yet. Well, the way how to implement it is to give them 10% off.
Yeah, or
how's that difficult?
Or you know what? In the interim, if subscriptions are as high, I mean, they're boasting 2 million active accounts. Well, obviously that's not patrons; that's just active accounts. Hundreds of thousands of those were bots, but they say they weren't counted in the 2 million. So, I think if you have an established base like that, you have a fair amount of patrons that you really think maybe we should take care of these guys. You know what? Maybe it's time to just implement a 10% discount across the board in the cash shop and let it roll until you can figure out how to give it exclusively to your patrons. Not only is that going to satisfy
10% for everybody.
Yeah, not only is that going to satisfy the patrons because at least they're getting what they wanted, but hey, maybe it entices me and you who aren't patrons to buy 1 or 2 items because it's $2 cheaper now than it was a couple of days ago. I don't know, maybe that's kind of a middle finger to the patrons too, though, in that you're giving the discount to everybody. Why be a patron? It's just messy, and it gets worse.
But wait.
Yes.
But wait, there's more.
Cue Billy Mays, but wait, there's more. Hacking is ridiculous right now in the game. Ridiculous. And one of the biggest aspects of this, we could go on for hours on this topic, but the big one I think we really need to touch on is the whole housing debacle, right? So if you don't pay the taxes on property that you own, first off, if you were able to claim property, good for you. I wasn't. If you don't pay the taxes, the upkeep on it, you can lose the property, right? And somebody else can come and claim it. Great. However, this software is ridiculously prone to packets being tossed back and forth client side to server side. And people are being able to claim land without actually even being logged into the game faster than normal humans can. And again, what story did we get from Trion? What comments did we get from them? We're working on it. We got to get with XL Games.
Well,
we're trying to ban as many as we can, but we got to get with XL Games.
Well, here's what they actually said. Yeah, here's from the quotes he put in the article. Scott Hartzman says, unlike in the case where it's our own game where we can do, whatever we want until problems get stomped, we're limited here and only being able to act on what the game throws off as outputs to us. We can't add new ones. And then their community manager, Scape, says, as we improve our detection and get better records, it'll be harder and harder to folks get away with stuff like this. So he's saying we can do something. Which one is it, guys?
But wait, there's more. Have you checked out the awesome, I forget, it was either MMORPG or .com or massively.com, and I wish I had the author's name right in front of me because it was a brilliant terminology. Referred to it, I think, as a jugger thread. the thread on the official forums that just went ballistic about the marketplace issue. And then now the forums are blowing up with missing posts and posts being taken down by Trion and entire threads being removed about people that are actually caught hacking or reported by the player base being given 24-hour bans and then allowed back in the game. I don't know about you. Maybe I'm a little old school on this one, but I'm sorry. If you hack, you're gone, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, again, Scapes tries to point that out by saying, it's correcting. It's not our policy to apply a temporary ban. So, but again, like I said, as someone who's been in the process of as someone who's been a community manager, you got to be precise the first time, or it's going to launch into those jugger threads. So.
I don't know. When it first launched, I really, really, really wanted to like ArcheAge. I really did. And okay, I get the whole maybe the graphics are a touch dated, and okay, I get all of those arguments, but I still wanted to really, really enjoy the game. And I'm just finding it really hard to, because I come from the Rift side of Trion Worlds, right? Mm-hmm. Which, in my opinion, I think Rift is extraordinarily well done when you take into account all of those things.
There's never been any real huge issues, I thought, with Rift. I thought it launched well. Queues were kind of big at first, but I mean, it wasn't like...
And of course, it's the whole developer of that game, not the publisher only. I get that, but man, some of these... I have never seen an MMO launch right now where the game is just so ready to be hacked. I mean, go to YouTube and search ArcheAge hacks. Boom, 21,000 results. Like that. It's...
Wait, a Korean MMO has hackers and bots? Come on.
I don't know, man. I hope they get it together, because Trion, I love them as a company, particularly for Rift. I do enjoy the rifting, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But this one's really hurting them, and I'm seeing articles today pop up about where's the trust now between player and Trion as a company, not just in ArcheAge, but
it is damaging Trion, I think.
I think so too.
Perceived as pretty good, more or less like their stuff, and now this is just like an anchor sinking them down.
Absolutely. I hope they get it fixed. Let's move on. All right, in other news, you wrote what I considered an awesome piece this week. And if you haven't read it, definitely do. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here so that you guys can kind of see what we're talking about, but I highly suggest you go and check it out. You wrote up, it started as an H1Z1 story, right? And then it kind of evolved. Tell me about it. Well,
it still was sort of about H1Z1. It basically was about, when they first announced it, they were really vocal about their early access period. They announced it back in April. I can put the timeline down. Like in April, they said, hey, 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to have early access. In May, they did a group interview with us and a few other gaming websites, and they reiterated that. They said about 4 weeks. So, technically, 4 to 6 weeks became 4 weeks. 5 weeks later, math is whatever. Since then, they've said nothing about early access. Obviously, it didn't happen 4 weeks after that, and they've gone to the Guild Wars 2 approach of when it's ready, so to speak. And I wondered why that was. It's not often someone will announce a date, and then they'll delay it or something. They'll say, okay, it's going to be another 3 months or whatever down the line. Usually they don't announce a date, or at least a very general time frame, and then just say, no, we're not telling you when it's coming out. And I posited, I thought that maybe the possibility was that this coincided about when Landmark went from alpha to beta. It was a little later after that. And a lot of times when a game has early access and all the early adopters rush into it and are so happy and whatever, after a little while, after a couple months, they've gotten their fill of it. They've gotten their fill of a very incomplete game, something in alpha, or maybe even an early beta, and they sometimes don't come back. And I wonder if they saw that and they got that kind of feeling between what they saw as not only what happened in Landmark, but what people talked about on forums and videos and so on. I wonder if they saw that and got a little antsy about going too early into early access for H1Z1. Even though from what I've played and what I've seen, it seems like it's pretty well along. It's at least as polished as DayZ, if not better. But I think they really they are trying to hold off until they have what they think is kind of a complete game, at least somewhat more complete to the point that you're not going to think it's totally incomplete and get bored of it before they really show you the meat of it.
Yeah, and you had talked about in the posting a video by our friends over at Extra Credits, one of my favorite YouTube channels, talking about the idea of early access in general. Before we cover that, you put in here, let me find it. Here it is, the timeline that kind of coincides with the whole H1Z1 EverQuest thing. And you have on January 31st, Landmark to open the doors to alpha and early access. March 26th, Landmark shifts into closed beta, so roughly a 3-month time period.
2 months.
Or 2 months, sorry. And then April 9th, Sony announces H1Z1 4 to 6 week window for early access, which when that was announced, I remember covering that on an episode of Twemo with you, and Smedley just kind of dropped it on his Twitter. And we were like, whoa, what the hell? We just found out yesterday that you had a patent for H1Z1 filed, and now we're going to be playing this in a couple of weeks. And then May 9th, more talk about H1Z1, mentioning that early access is about 4 weeks out. And yeah. And
then no mention of release. I asked them directly at SOE Live, and they're like, yeah, when it's ready, basically. The Guild Wars 2 answer. They're just not giving any dates whatsoever.
The Guild Wars 2 answer. All right, so your thoughts in general then on just early access, because I don't think this isn't exclusive to H1Z1, and I tend to agree with your piece, which is why I probably found it interesting, because it shared. I like pieces that I can agree with. I tend to agree about the whole early access thing, and we're not even going to put it in conjunction with things like founders packs, and that's a whole nother topic, right? We're just talking about the idea of early access and it being usually something that's a pre-beta state, sometimes in extreme cases even a pre-alpha state, particularly on Steam and Steam Greenlight. Yeah. So are you even for early access at this point? I mean, because you had mentioned in offline conversations between you and I that you don't really even go out and buy things on launch date anymore.
I definitely don't like betas. launch date, again, I can sort of deal with if it's something I really want, and maybe, but I don't like unfinished games. And I mean, even for something I'm really into, like if I was really into Landmark. If I thought it was something I was really wanted to, then maybe I would have been more interested in maybe buying it. I actually got it. They gave me the free thing, whatever. But it was something that I got into. I played around with it for a few weeks. And then I was like, I'm not really into this. So I kind of moved on.
I did the same thing with Landmark.
Exactly. And the thing is, it works that way too. If there's a few games that I've had to try over, the last few months working with MMOBomb that they gave us early access, like almost first day it was available to anybody, alpha kind of access. And even some stuff that I liked, I was like, okay, this is kind of fun, but there's just so much more needs to be done. I don't want to grind out my character levels or whatever now, knowing I'm going to have to redo it all later. It's just like, whatever. And yeah, I think that tends to bear on a lot of people, that not only the notion of having to realize you're going to have to do it all over again, which again, the really huge, super mega fans who just want early access immediately, those are the guys who are going to be into it and doing that, and they don't care they're going to have to do it all over again because they love it that much. But I think that's even a subset of the people who are getting that early access. People like you, for instance, who were kind of interested by Landmark, but wasn't going to be someone who was going to build like a giant cathedral over 3 months. And I think they even realize that a lot of those people are getting into it and then just not coming back, or maybe not coming back for a while, or maybe not coming back at all.
Even your hardcore adopters at that point, you better have at least something of a compelling experience.
Yeah.
Or there's no incentive for them to stay, and they were the ones campaigning for your game on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and everything. So it's kind of a double-edged sword both ways. We don't want access to a shitty game, right? And developers certainly don't want to lose players that are excited about the game by giving them an early build, but everybody and their mother seems to be doing the early access thing now, and if you don't, it's almost like, well, why can't we go in there and play it? Yeah, exactly.
And that's why, yeah.
Yep. It's the money. Money.
On the bright side, you look at a company like SOE and figure that, yeah, while they do have, quarterly earning sheets and so on, so they want that money quickly, they're also big enough that they don't really need it. It's not like some little indie dev who has to have another $100,000 or you just can't make the game, you can't afford it. So you figure if anybody can afford to do this, it's someone like SOE.
Which is a lot of what you're seeing on Steam right now, right? I mean, you're seeing a lot of those games, and Kickstarter, obviously, big funding platform for that type of stuff.
Really access.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you see stuff that you're fronting money for that it might not even ever be completed, where at least, like you said, with somebody like Sony Online, you're reasonably sure at some point this damn thing's coming out.
Yeah.
Or something based on it. Although I guess
why I
maybe
like
not,
these-
because Blizzard canceled Titan, so...
Oh yeah, that's true. But they weren't crowdfunding that.
That's true. Yeah, they didn't let anybody in. Nobody knows what the hell that one is
That's when we
yet.
canceled the agency a few years ago. But whatever.
Whatever.
But I mean, it makes me. I actually tweeted out a little while ago, like last week, that it was cool to see that Triad Wars is just having signups for a closed beta
Yeah.
instead of doing a paid alpha or anything like that. And I thought that was pretty cool. And they actually said thank you. So.
Yeah, and that's, you think back, I mean, years, it wasn't that long ago that we were...
That was how you got into a game. You just signed up for the closed beta.
You signed up. But think back even a year or two further than that, before, I wasn't really into game media. Looking back 6-7 years ago, I wasn't publishing or writing or doing videos or anything. You were doing, I think, Beckett's at the time, weren't you? That
Yeah,
was
about 6 years ago.
6-7 years ago. So there was a time when we got paid to be in beta. Remember that? We got paid to test the stuff.
Technically, we kind of still do.
Well, I guess, yeah,
There's
but we had to
strings
segue into a different business to do it. Let us know how you feel about early access down below, and particularly H1Z1. Was it hit by EverQuest, Next, and Landmark, and all the other SOE trappings? Let us know what you guys think down below about the whole early access debate. No Founders Packs chat. We'll have that conversation some other time. Speaking of making the money... WildStar seems to not be doing much of that right now. Now, I know this is a free-to-play show. I get it. We're not going to talk and harp on the actual game WildStar and its features and bells and whistles and systems and combat. We're not. That's not this chat. But I think it is interesting to kind of examine this one right now. Because, Jason, over the years, you and I and everybody else that's big-time MMO player, we have seen multiple AAA MMO RPGs in particular come out with a subscription only within 1 year, to become free-to-play. We saw it with Terra. We saw it with Star Wars The Old Republic. Some games lasted a little longer than a year, like Ion, stuff like that. But eventually they made the transition, some very quickly. And so I wanted to kind of pick your brain here a little bit. WildStar's having a bit of a rough patch right now. They tried to go with the content drops once every 28 days. Didn't pan out. There was some huge buggy content on the first 2 drops, so they pulled back on that, which was one of the big sellers for their subscriptions. The quote said every 28 days. It wasn't like, well, you're paying for content, which we hear subscription guys say all the time. This was very specific.
It's like announcing a 10% off patron status for you.
So they were very specific about, you're going to get content every 28 days, and players aren't anymore, and they're starting to get a little unhappy with that. Population, way down. Subscriptions, way down. They canceled Halloween. They canceled Christmas. They delayed 1 drop because they're kind of merging it with 2 drops, and they wanted to get mega servers implemented first. There's just a lot going on over the next 3 months here with WildStar that if you're an active player right now, you have to probably be looking at this going, what am I going to do for the next 3 months in this game?
Why am I paying my $15 a month?
Right.
Which what they need to have the content.
Exactly. Where's my subscription going at this point? And why should I pay it? I think might be the better question, the justification for paying it, when you've got everybody and their mother seems to be dropping an expansion in the next 60 days. And that doesn't even count all the great single players or console games that are coming out over the next 2 months. Just looking
it's the holiday season. It's going into the
exactly.
Christmas, so, yeah.
It seems to be coming a little early this year, though. It's
a little earlier every year.
Yeah. So we've got Star Wars: The Old Republic dropping Shadow of Revan. Of course, we've got World of Warcraft with Warlords of Draenor. We've got Final Fantasy XIV dropping 2.4, which is adding a whole new class to the game. It's just every MMORPG out there is just flooding with content. Guild Wars 2 is pushing their next story stuff. Rift.
Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings Online, Update 15. Rift is getting its Nightmare Tide expansion. You just have to look at the whole spectrum and say, should I pay for WildStar right now? And so I want to ask you, because everybody kind of defaults back to, well, it should go free to play. It should go free to play. It should go free to play. And there are, of course, pros and cons, particularly in WildStar's situation right now of doing that. So let's kind of answer the question. Do you think within the next 3 months, they should make the free-to-play move.
No, not within the next 3 months. Because I wrote about this, like an article I think I did on the Beckett website like 4 years ago when I was kind of new there. That basically, when I said when a game goes free to play, that doesn't fix whatever problems it has. It just makes it available for more people to try it. WildStar's problem is not getting people to try it. They had a lot of hype, had a lot of people buy it, a lot of people get into it.
And had arguably, in my opinion, one of the smoothest launches. I mean, there wasn't much wrong with it.
Nothing like what's happened with ArcheAge right now. But the thing that people are running into is they don't like how the PvP works in terms of like I read Ed Park's post, Togrim.
Oh, I love it.
He talks about how the PvP doesn't work out because of the grinding you need for that. Everybody talks about how the raid, all the attunement grinding, that's the horrible thing. Talk about how difficult it is to get groups for raids and whatever, which somewhat would be alleviated by having more people by being free to play. But the points that I'm seeing a lot of people say is that the gameplay, not necessarily the core gameplay, like the combat and whatever, but just the overall game itself has a lot of issues. None of those would get fixed by going free to play. All they would do is get more people in there to look at those issues, probably again hate them and then leave. What they need to do is they need to fix that kind of stuff, especially also to say that if you go free to play, you're going to get a lot more people who weren't, like we say, super alpha gamers who wanted to get into it right away. You're going to have a lot more people who are only checking out from a kind of a casual standpoint. And if all that's there for them to do is grind out PvP for 6 months or fail at raids, they're not going to stick around. So what they'll need to do is they need to put in that content, that kind of slightly more casual, more easygoing content, and then maybe 6 months to 9 months to a year from now, then maybe they can go free to play.
I don't know if I agree. I mean, I definitely see all the points. I can't argue with any of them. There's not one single thing you said that I would say you're wrong on. I think though that there's a huge problem besides the buggies and the attoonies and whatever you want to call them. There is a huge population issue. And we're seeing a lot of that in forums where guilds are having very hard times recruiting people. So I tend to lean more towards mega servers, which I like the idea of mega servers, but it doesn't fix the core issues here. I mean, they already have cross-realm PvP and cross-realm dungeon queuing. Really, the mega servers are to make the world look and feel more populated and for you to interact with players in the world a lot easier, which, hey, I'm all for. Great. But it's, installing a mega server isn't going to enhance your PvP queue. You already have cross-realm PvP queues. It's not going to enhance your dungeon queue. It's not going to improve the low-level dungeon queue, which, take 2 minutes on the forums, you can't run a low dungeon. And God help you if you're going to play an alt at this point. At this point right now. So I kind of lean more towards, okay, mega servers are going in, which, as of this recording, Tuesday night, they are going in tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. So there's going to be downtime for the greater portion of tomorrow, and then planned for the greater portion of tomorrow. Who knows at this point? Could be 4 days. I don't know. I tend to lean more towards if mega servers don't really make the pre-50 gameplay any better or more available and accessible based on population, yeah, you still have a bunch of problems to figure out, but if you don't have people there to fix them it really doesn't matter. And I think, yeah, you're right, free-to-play brings its own demons with it as well as an influx of players. But at least that influx of players could help sustain you while you fix these other things. Because let's be honest, you're not, most free-to-play players aren't going to go from 1 to 50 in a week like the subscription-based people did when they launched it and played it for 8 hours a day. They're going to play it at a slower pace. But if you don't have people in there, then what the hell's the point of fixing it? Last point on this one, and I'd like to get your take on, is may not come down to Carbine being able to make the decision here, right? I mean, they're underneath good old NCSoft. And you City of Heroes fans know what I'm talking about.
Oh, there's a low blow.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, it might not come down to them even having a choice. It might be the higher-ups looking just at the sheer numbers at it saying, try free-to-play, or buy to play, or let's cancel it. I mean, I could see them going any kind of way here. I would hope that they wouldn't cancel it. You got to give a brand new IP a little bit of breathing time, for God's sake. But
I would think that even if they're getting that message right now from NCSoft, it's like, how quickly can they do that? I mean, you look at some of the other games that, quote unquote failed. SWTOR is a great example. That came out, was, all balls of fire for like 2-3 months. And then we started seeing it really go down, but it still took them about a year total to get to go in free to play. And that seems like the kind of the time frame needed, because not only because they didn't launch thinking we're going to go free to play. They think we're going to be good, we're going to be subscription forever, and then they get to this point, and now they're starting to say, oh, okay, now we need to get a free to play or a buy to play transition or something like that. So I think they just mechanically couldn't do it in less than at least 6 months or so.
I would definitely agree with that, and especially with all the stuff that they do have in the game for subscribers, with the especially housing and how many items that takes up, and the costuming, and they've got a lot of that ancillary stuff in there that subscription players are used to getting for free, that all of a sudden we're used to seeing in a cash shop on a free-to-play game. Right. And if it went free-to-play, how much of that goes? It's a sticky situation. I mean, I hope they work it all out. I love having more MMOs to play, not less. So I really hope they work it out. And I would like to experience WildStar raiding at some point. I just didn't have the time to sink into it.
That's the whole issue.
I enjoyed their dungeons, man. I really did. I thought they were challenging, even with pugs or groups of people that I normally play with. I wish them the best, but yeah, it's a sticky one. So you're saying no, wait another 9 months or so before free to play, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah,
sometime
like
at the end of their first year. I'm saying if mega servers don't pan out and increase the population of people like me that quit, and this is mega servers and drop 3 and 4 being sandwiched together are kind of an enticing come back and try it. If that doesn't go too well, I'm thinking that they do it a lot earlier than the 1 year mark.
Okay.
Let us know what you think below. Later. Yeah, we definitely will. We did when Star Wars started their discussions about it. We definitely did. Put your comments down there. Let us know what you think. Should WildStar go free to play? Will it help? Would it hurt the current situation? And if they shouldn't do it now, when should they do it? But for now, let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Mr. Winter, I'm going to let you go first, sir.
All right. I've never gone first, but Spunkify never let me go first. I don't know what to do, but all right. I'm going to give an A-bomb to the Shadows of Mordor review agreement.
Oh,
which, if you've been reading about this, is just hideous. What it is a bunch of popular YouTubers who got a review copy of the Shadows of Mordor game also received instructions from the PR firm for Warner Brothers, which said all sorts of wonderful things about what they had to do to get their copy, or they could get content ID claims put on their videos on YouTube. They had to, maximize awareness for the game, discuss the story, include discussion of the Nemesis system. Okay, fine, so cover stuff like that. Now, granted, it's still a little not great to kind of force your people to talk about those sort of things, but all right, it's all reasonable. All features you should talk about. And they also had to persuade viewers to purchase the game and not show bugs or glitches. They had to the Nemesis stuff should take up the bulk of the focus. That was another part of it. They're not to talk about the Tolkien books or The Hobbit. The video will, quote, promote positive sentiment about the game. And, best of all, quote, the company has final approval on the YouTube video at least 48 hours before any video goes live. Wow. All that just so independent YouTube guys can do the review.
I thought the game was mediocre.
Actually, I've heard really great things about it. But
I like the combat. I like the gameplay. The Nemesis system is cool. If you like Assassin's Creed and you're okay with the Tolkien universe, you're probably going to really, really dig it. You're probably really going to dig it. I find it hard to play in long chunks. For me, it's a jump in for an hour and come back. To me, it's an average game with some slightly above average features.
Well, great. Now we're gonna get kicked
No, we didn't show footage.
Yeah, but you didn't express.
And I paid for my copy.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Full disclosure, I had to spend cash. So I've got well, it's kind of both actually. It's an A-bomb and a da-bomb. Remember, A-bomb is not good. Da-bomb, Fantastic. Something very good. And it is for the Rift collector sets, speaking of Trion Worlds. I'm okay with the idea of digital collector sets. To me, they don't fall in, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't, they don't fall into the Founders Pack area for me.
Sure.
Especially when 95% of the expansion's content is readily available in the game without purchasing these things anyway. There are a couple things that are exclusive to the collector's sets, which are fairly enticing. So I double them to the actual sets themselves. I like them. I think they're great prices. $24.99 is great to just jump in, and if you're insane collector guy or girl, $149.99, and you get all this stuff. Great, fantastic, nice collector sets, some cool stuff in there. My A-bomb portion of this comes in, and I'm going to preface this by saying this has been fixed. What I'm going to complain about has been fixed. But I still think it was dumb to even have been an issue to begin with. So, you're a Rifter occasionally. You know the loyalty system, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you buy items, it helps if I bring Jason up in that shot instead of my media. There you are. So if you played Rift, there's a whole loyalty system where if you subscribe and pay money per month, or if you just buy individual items in the cash shop, every dollar of purchasing gives you more loyalty points. As your loyalty bar goes up, you get better and better and better rewards. Cool. It's a cool little perk for money you were probably going to spend anyway. I don't really imagine anybody's buying things specifically to build the loyalty bar.
It's like the rewards card.
Yeah, exactly.
Get 6 free. You know?
So it's a cool feature. These expansion packs, initially, they had no loyalty on them. $24.99 to $149.99 for these collector sets, and they had 0 loyalty tied to them. That lasted about 3 days. And the forums just that got rectified very quickly. Just seems to me like, why was that even an issue? Everything else that I give you money for this game, you give me loyalty for. Now you're asking for a big chunk of money and not. Trion.
I think it's one of those cases where it's, don't attribute to malice what can be accounted for stupidity.
You're probably right. You're probably
I think they
right.
just didn't think of it. I don't think they specifically thought, well, we're going to do this and not offer loyalty points.
Let's screw over everybody.
Yeah, I think they just kind of forgot to put it there.
But I'm looking forward to Nightmare Tide, so we'll see what happens. I haven't purchased mine yet because it was delayed for a couple of weeks, so I have more thinking time. Viewer bombs. UDK Facey says, my bomb to BioWare for Star Wars The Old Republic for not making any sort of content I would want to play. Saves me money and time.
Kind of a backhanded bomb right there.
That's brutal.
Wow.
Would you take the next one?
Sure. V2099 says, bomb to D&D 5th edition. The more I hear about the changes, the more I get excited about it, and hopefully prestige classes will make a return. I miss my Bane of Nature, which was a, I think, Fighter, Forest Master, Fire Elemental, Archon. Wow. A-bomb, however, to the fanboys and girls on Console Wars, which includes the PC fan people. Quit bickering and play your games.
That's a good call. Just play your games.
I paged through a 5th edition player's handbook the other day in the store, and
it's looking good.
Looks better than the 4th edition. So I like
yeah, I like how they're, and wow, we're going to totally D&D dork out here for a second. I like how it seems to be bridging the divide that was created between 3rd and 4th players.
Was there a divide, or was it just everybody prefers 3rd?
There you go. Maybe that's
not
the
much
divide.
of a divide.
Earth 00 or Earth So or Earth, you know who you are. A gigantic A-bomb to Trion for their cheap imitation of Steam. Glyph. Wow, I feel like it was a Bash Trion episode, and I really don't mean for it to be, but I decided to go back to Rift today and found out that I couldn't use the direct launcher anymore. I had to use Glyph, so I thought, well, if I'm going to use a gaming platform, why would I use Glyph to play one game? Let me just install through Steam. After installing, I found out that even on Steam, you have to log into Glyph, so now you have to go through Steam and Glyph to play the game FU Trion. Pretty succinct. I'm getting sick of the platforms. I really am. Question of the week. We don't have any questions or answers from you guys or questions you just wanted to ask the host because the last episode was a few weeks ago, so I figured they were kind of out of date with what we would be talking about. So we'll skip that for today. I'm going to give you a question of the week. Make sure you comment on all the topics we talked about. Please list your D-bombs and A-bombs in the comments below, a vital part of the show. There's no show without you. Question of the week: should Carbine Studios and NC Soft push WildStar into the free-to-play market? Will it help the state of the game, or does it just add a new set of problems? You already got Winter's and my answers, so let's see yours. Mr. Winter, where can everybody follow you at?
I think my Twitter handle is down here.
It is.
All right, at Winter Informal on Twitter. On my blog at jasonwinter.wordpress.com, and sometimes I stream twitch.tv/jasonwinter.
Woot woot! I'm Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at magicman1, MAGICKMANN1, the spelling that always throws off Mr. Winter. Stay safe, guys, and it's good being back. Until next time, see you on the servers. It's all about the free-to-play cast, Mr. Winter. We did it! Episode 1. Let us know if you like the video style instead. Later.